Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhasya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyoma Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Gukarastvandhakaro vai Rukarastanivartakaha Andhakara nirodhitvat Gururityabhidhiyate. Om Sahana Vavadu Sahana Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Vritha Kriya Vritha Lapan,
Vrita Kriya, Vrita Lapan,
Vritha Kriya Vritha Lapan,
Vrita Kriya, Vrita Lapan,
Vritha Vadan Manorathan,
Vrita Vadan Manorathan,
Tyaktvaikam Brahma Vigneyam,
Yaktvaikam Brahma Vigneyam, Iti Vedanta Dindima.
Yeah, Vritha Kriya. All action without being dedicated or harnessed towards the reduction of subjectivity. Ragadvesha is subjectivity, bars of subjectivity. And where are the bars? Right in front of my eyes, distorting the vision of the Shruti as myself. So therefore what? No more bars, except if they are chocolate. This is okay. This kind of bar? Okay. No bars on this bar, right? Yeah. So, all actions that do not have the power to transform my subjectivity are not engaged in. So, in other words, every action is done mindfully because it is helping me grow. This is what we mean by this mindful engagement in the day-to-day activities, because the fruit of the actions lies not in the fruit of the action itself, karma phala, but the real fruit of the action lies in inner maturity, which gives the knowledge of oneself. Because without the inner maturity, all this is just like, buffalo standing in the rain. Yeah. What happens? Nothing. That's what happens. Water just falls off. So too, you can have a big thundercloud of knowledge showering upon oneself. But if the ragadvesha has given a thick hide, then what? It will just roll away. This is why all actions are done mindfully. And if you make a sankalpa, a conscious intention, may this help me grow. May how I deal with this situation help me grow. It will happen. Thoughts have power. Always. May this help me grow. A small intention. And that's why, we say, we don't sort of make a big deal out of this. But in the Buddhist tradition, this mindfulness has been mined and made into an important practice. That doesn't mean, they got it from here because Buddhism is arisen out of Hinduism. Buddha was Hindu. He just eschewed the whole part of the rituals because he was already mature enough to not need the actions really. And so for the people to whom he was preaching, he said engage in all actions mindfully. Same thing. This mindfulness comes from this, from recognizing the connection between my action and my self-growth. That is the best gift of mindfulness I can give to myself. And then there is alapan. Alapan, I said wailing, whining. And then what? Empty talk, vritha, useless. So if there is no knowledge, the talk, discussion or mere intellection, like I said yesterday in the lecture, how many times tat has been used in the Upanishad? Who cares if you don't know the meaning of that? Let it be used once or 1 million times. If you don't know its meaning, as you, if the tat is not known as tvam, you, then who cares? This is mere intellection. This is academia, as I said. So, this is also vritha. And then alapan can also mean what's its name? Discussions of so many different topics. Like this is what election. Next month will be election. Exactly 1 month. Right? And so the temperaments are very fiery on both sides. People who support whichever side, they feel that their candidate is the best. And then there is this whole poll watching. Yeah. Every minute they are looking at the polls. Oh, he sneezed. Did it give him a sympathetic bump in the polls? Because everybody said, oh, he has the flu, poor thing, I'll vote for him. He coughed. He ate his food. He went to sleep. Did that help the polls? This is all vritha. And there are people that are dedicated to just doing these polls. Not whole day and night they are at these polls. They actually churn them out. One candidate is 5 points ahead. Oh, really? 5 points ahead? No, the margin of error is 4 points. And that 1 point we cannot count. Too close to call. This is vritha alapan. Useless. What am I getting out of engaging in this? Engaging in this to a certain extent is a duty of a good citizen. Citizens' swadharma, duty is to vote, correct? And in order to vote, I should be well informed, correct? So in order to be well informed, perhaps I should equip myself with enough of the party platform of each candidate and know that. And beside that, what else is there to know? Because they are all very predictable. They say the same thing. Each talk you hear, whether it is, in some place in the east coast or whether it's in the west coast, it sounds the same. Same talking points. Vritha lapan. Same talking points. They keep repeating. Same things they say. And then the people who love them also say the same things about them. And the people who do not love them also say the same things about them. This is what is called alapa. Because any small thing you can make into a huge thing. And this becomes very, very evident when one becomes a serious student of Vedanta. And this is what you fill your life with. And your life gains a certain meaning, a certain, what's the word for it? A certain tranquility, a certain kind of a complacency in a good way, like you know where you belong. You have a direction. It gains a direction. That is, that you can finally be complacent that, okay, I'm headed in the right track. And then what? Then you go to some kind of party. Then what happens? You're bored. This is why. Because the mind has already decided vritha laban. Because what they are talking doesn't make any sense. Somebody called me from India. This is very interesting. It was 5 o'clock in the morning, a few days back. And then first of all, I didn't understand who it was. I said, I'm related to somebody, and then Swamiji. That's all I heard. And then I said, okay. And then the lady said, do you know that this person, I didn't know that person, has fought with, this person's father's younger brother's grandson's wife. Okay, by the time I followed the connection, I was already kind of reeling. Father's younger brother's grandson's wife has fought with that person's mother's sister-in-law's nephew. Did you know that? And I said, no.
Did you know?
No, I was kind of stunned. I said, no. Did you hear? I said, no. I didn't know what else to say. I was really speechless. Not very often am I speechless. This was really speechless. Material for speechlessness. And then, then she said, are you a descendant, meaning disciple in that particular language, of this particular Swami, something? And I said, no. And she said, wrong number. So the whole time she talked, it was almost like 10 minutes, because I was really trying to understand, is this a person in distress? What is this person trying to say? How can I help? What is the whole... I was just trying to follow the narration. And it just... And she said, wrong number. And then she scolded me. She said, you couldn't tell me I had the wrong number? Why didn't you say? Namaha. Really happened. Because I was confused, because she said descendant of Swami. First she said Swamiji, so I thought, okay, Swamiji. And then another confusing thing was this father's brother's grandson's, nephew was fighting in DC. That was another, thing, because DC again, some teaching connection is there. So I was trying to think, what is this? Who is this person? I don't know. I still don't know her name. All I said was 3 no's. First she said, did I wake you up? I said, no. And then she said, did you know that they had fought? I said, no. Are you the student of such and such Swamiji? I said, no. That was the end of the conversation. Anything can get into a hype. And all hype is really about nothing. Even when you think it's about something, have a good night's sleep, and the next morning, the hype thermometer will have descended, gone down. Even though in the moment it may feel like a life and death issue, it is not. And even if it is, it's only 2 choices. Either there will be life or there will not. So, vritha alapan. So we fill our days, we fill our time with this kind of a browsing of various issues and engagement in various situations. The engagement becomes interesting, and then it becomes entanglement. And then you have to deal with those people. So vritha alapan also means less engagement. And then, the Vedantins are accused by who? Vedant outs. Vedant in, the one who is in Vedanta. Vedant out, the one who is looking from outside. So the Vedant outs may say to the Vedantins, oh, you people are so elitist. I have heard this again and again. And aloof. Yeah. Aloof. It's not aloofness. It's a conscious and strategic disengagement from all those things that take away my sanity. That is not aloofness. That's intelligence. You read aloof backwards. What is that? A fool. Yeah. This is not aloof. This is not getting into foolishness. This is what it is. You can, because most situations, if you engage in the situation, if you entangle in the situation, it does not cause any help to the other person. There is just this feeling that I am in samsara, aha, you are in samsara too, let me pull you down. That's the only feeling. And that's not a good feeling to feed. That's not a good fire to feed. It's a sick fire. And compassion doesn't mean you have to suffer with the other person. That's not compassion. Even though the Latin root of the word, cum, means with. You don't have to suffer with. In fact, you can be a source of comfort and blessing if you are not afflicted alongside the other person. That is not aloofness. That's not elitist either. It's carving out a lifestyle that is healthy for myself, where I use my resources that are already scant. Why? Because health-wise one is wanting, time-wise one is always wanting. So the scant resources that one has, one uses it for the sake of gaining this teaching, not frittered away. You have to harness this, save it for the teaching, because it is precious. So vritha lapan, and then what? Vritha vadan, same thing. Lapa may be silently wailing, and vada is loudly talking discussions. We have covered both of them. Manorathan. So where do the alapa and the vada come from? From the mind. A chariot train. A gravy train of desires floating through the mind. And at that level, they don't cause any harm. The fancies in the mind are just there. That is why Bhagavan Krishna says to Arjuna in the 2nd chapter, in the 56th verse, Prajahati yada kaman, sarvan kaman prajahati yada manogatan kaman. This manorathan is manogatan. Prajahati means the one who gives up. Here also the prajahati is replaced by tyaktva. Same thing. Tyaj, to give up. Ha also means to give up. 3rd conjugation. This is tyaj, 1st conjugation. That's the only difference. Ha causes duplication of this thing. So first it is ha ha. Then you can't have ha ha. It becomes jaha. Jahati. So this is the whole thing. So prajahati yada, when the person gives up all the fancies, manogatan kaman, even as they arise in the mind, because that is when you have the say over them. When they arise in the mind, oh, wouldn't it be nice to be the possessor of whatever it is, fill in the blanks. And that is when one can rein them in with the free will that has been gifted by Bhagavan to rein those desires in. And how to rein them in? You have to say at that moment, is this going to help me with the teaching? What will the answer be? No. If it is yes, yes, let us follow it. If it is no, let it be. It's not going to augment anything that I already have. It's not going to take away anything that I already have. And even if there is a desire to pursue it, then I have to transform it as a way to help me gain maturity. You can tell Bhagavan, I am following this desire. I am choosing to follow this desire because I can't do otherwise. The force of it is too much. Help me grow so that I can be free of it. Yeah. So let me freely pursue it so that it doesn't become an entanglement. This is what Vishwamitra did. Vishwamitra was a sage. He wanted to be known as the sage of sages. Maharshi status. Mahancha sau rishishcha. Mahan means great sage. He wanted to be the sage of sages. And he went to the ashram of another sage, Vasishtha, who had a wish-fulfilling cow. At that time he was a king. He was not yet a sage, but he wanted to be the sage of sages. So the king went unannounced to an ashram with a whole army after lunchtime. And Kamadhenu, the wish-fulfilling cow, you had to just put a pot in front, and she manifested all kinds of goodies to feed the whole army. And of course, this fellow was not a student of Vedanta, and he was into Vritha-vadan and Alapan. So instead of asking the sage for knowledge, he said, "Oh, how did you get this food? Where did you cook this? How did it come about?" And the sage said, "Oh, this cow. Can I have the cow?" This is the first time the sage said, "No, you can't have a cow. No cow for you. No cow, no cow." "Why not?" He said, "Because I can send her with you, but she'll only listen to me. If you stand in front of her and say, dish out all these dishes, she's not going to listen to you." Why? Because he says you are not free of your ragadveshas. You have too many agenda, too many likes and dislikes. Therefore, she's not going to listen to you. So this cow is going to be like a regular cow. It's not going to be a wish-fulfilling cow. How come she listens to you? He says, "Because I have mastered the desires." He says, and that's why I'm called Maharshi. I am also going to become a better Maharshi than you. And he stands on one leg on top of a mountain, does all this tapas. Tapas doesn't mean appetizers from Spain, okay? Yeah. Tapas is the opposite of that. Tapas means severe austerities. So he stands on one leg on the highest peak of Himalayas. He goes here, he goes there, and he makes his body do all kinds of difficult situations. And then what? Along comes Menaka. Who is Menaka? A beautiful heavenly nymph. She just walks by him. Her anklet bells are making this lilting sound. And Vishwamitra says, who is in deep meditation, says what? "Oh, who is that?" And he opens his eyes, doesn't see anybody because she's already crossed and gone somewhere else. And later she comes back. And then again. First he just enjoys listening to all the bracelets and the anklets making this sound, chan 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 chan. And then what? Then he glimpses this very exotic perfume. What is it called that she's wearing? Samsara. It really is such a perfume. She was not wearing moksha perfume. Then what? Then, these are all the senses are being assailed. First the hearing, then the smell, and here he is trying to do, like I said, double chin mudra, not going anywhere with it. And then finally he opens his eyes and looks at her. She is beyond beautiful. She is just perfection itself. And he was writing a diary, a journal at that time. Of course, when sages, he was nearly a sage, and later on he becomes a great sage. But when sages write journals, it's not in the form of "I woke up today." It's not like a blog, okay? I woke up, I had coffee. He was writing in verse. And he wrote, he says, some prarabdha, some kind of karmic residues and desires, born of these karmic residues, O Lord, are too strong to resist. So therefore I am going to succumb to them. I'm going to stop this meditation. I'm going to recognize my limitation. I'm going to stop being a meditator and get into grihastha ashrama. I am going to become a householder, I'm going to marry this maiden, this heavenly nymph, and I'm going to lead this family life that I thought I could bypass. And he says, may this help me outgrow these desires, which I could not do at the mountaintop. Very beautiful. You see, he recognized the limitations. So certain desires are there, they come with a force of, not being able to do anything to them except to follow them. But even while one is as though by force following them or choosing to follow them, don't forget that there is still a choice. And in that intentionality, you can change the course of that desire. And if you cannot, stop its force, at least change the course of how it's going to come into your life. Follow dharma, first of all, And then what? Follow dharma, follow the prayer that let this help me grow spiritually. Because right now I cannot but listen to this part of me that's not very clear. I'm going to go with this. But let it become a blessing rather than a curse. This is what, one has to do. There's no other way. There is something very beautiful about that. Because sometimes one has to go around and gain that maturity, gain that readiness. So this Manorathan is different ways of dealing with the desires. At the mental level itself, you can leave it before it becomes manifest into planning and action. Sometimes it's good to have healthy boundaries. And this is what every AA meeting will say. Don't be around alcohol, correct? Because why? I cannot resist it. Whether it's alcohol or whatever the other part is, Before the anonymous, so many things will come. Narcotics and alcoholics and so many things. I cannot be around this without succumbing to this. So therefore what? I remove myself strategically from that. Certain things you don't need to test because you know you will not pass the test. Why put yourself into toxic situations when you know that right now you don't have the ability to do that? And same thing with people. Some people bring out the worst. Not really, but the thing is they bring out certain tendencies that you are trying to overcome. That's the same thing, like with alcohol, for example. You can just take the base example. Because when you are around such people, you feel like indulging in certain activities. Even this alapa and vilapa and the vada. With some people, when you meet them, because you met them at a time when you were vulnerable or lonely, each time you get together with them, you end up gossiping about other people. This happens. When they are not there, you never go there. You don't like to do that. But suddenly when these people come, they bring you down because they go on that track and one is not forceful enough to resist. And sometimes there are people that are dysfunctional in the life. Maybe they are needy, maybe they are upset, or maybe they don't bring out the best in you because you're just trying to cope. So therefore, to strategically place oneself in situations that are healthy, repeatedly, choosing that is also part of managing the desires. Tyaktva means give up all those things because they are dead-end pursuits. They're not going to lead you anywhere. Give them up. Ekam Brahma Vijnayam. Give them up because all that is to be known is Brahman, knowing which everything is as good as known. So give them up for the sake of the knowledge of the self. Thus is the proclamation, not a secret, but a proclamation of Vedanta. Sthito brahmatmana jivah
Sthito brahmatmana jivah
Brahma Jivatmana Sthitam
Brahma Jivatmana Sthitham
Iti Sampashyatam Muktihi
Iti Sampashyatam Muktihi
Iti Vedanta Dindimaha. Yeah. Number 15. Sthitaha means abiding in. Has to be taken like that. Abiding in. Sthitaha Jivaha. Jivaha sthita. Sthitaha. The jiva abides in. And here it should be abides as, because look at the next word, Brahmatmana. As the Atma which is Brahman alone. In the form of Brahman, the jiva abides. And what about Brahman? How does Brahman obtain? As the jiva, as the truth of the very jiva. Correct? Yeah. As the truth of the very jiva, Brahman obtains as the truth of that very jiva. And the jiva is nothing but Brahman. Jiva means the individual. The unanchored individual suffering from self-ignorance is called jiva. And that Atma which is not separate from Brahman is called Atma. Both are words for the self. But Atma is self, Jiva is that individual that has separated itself from that self. So, or thinks oneself separate. So then the Jiva is Atma. And there is no Brahman without it being Atma. Iti sampashyatam. Sampashyatam means sampashyatam, the one who look at this, samyak pashyatam. For the people who see this clearly. Muktihi. What is muktihi? Moksha. Freedom. From what? From feeling disconnected. From much. Much plus ktin. You cannot say mujtihi. So the much becomes muk plus ti. Muktihi. Freedom. Feminine now. So this is what it's going to take to make the non-dual, to make it, to see that non-duality. This is what it's going to take, is to see that there is no separation between this jiva and Brahman. There is no jiva without being Brahman, and there is no Brahman other than the jiva. See, usually we have this kind of a partial, when we talk about Brahman, we say, for example, we give the example of the actor playing various roles. You know? So the villain is the actor. Actor is not a villain. This is how we say. You know? Pot is clay. Clay is not pot, because the clay is so many different things. But here, this could be confusing, because Jiva is Brahman. But then here it says Brahman is also Jiva. You see, if you look at it, there is a two-way equation which usually we do not allow for the sake of clarity. But here, it's trying to bring in a very profound point that whereas everything, you know, that is mithya is regarded as a creation of Brahman. We saw this clearly in the 8th chapter. Jiva is not a creation. This is a big, major break from all the other theologies that we have and we know. In other theologies, the prayer is we are children of God. We are also like so many, you know, there is the tree, there is fishes, there is animals, and we also are created by God. So there is creator-created sambandha between the truth of the universe, which is God, and oneself. So that's a duality, correct? So there is, God is seen as the Father in most theologies. We tried to say, you know, in the women's conference, Swamiji tried to say this. Let us say that we have freedom to invoke God as Father and as Mother. Oh, they were not happy. People from the other theologies were not happy. Pujya Swamiji tried to say this. But that's what I'm saying, because people are convinced that this is... Yeah. And if you recall, I don't know if you remember, the 4th chapter of Panchadashi, or 3rd chapter, 4th chapter, yeah. Vaguely, do you remember studying it? Yes? No? Perhaps? In another life? And in that it said that the Jiva and Ishvara both create the universe. In a way, there is a certain co-creation. In fact, there is no Jiva other than Ishvara. But the Jiva keeps for itself certain things, like the mind and everything. It differentiates itself from Ishvara due to ignorance and the mind. And actually this universe is co-created. And the co is mithya, really. Yeah. So the Jiva is not a creation. This is a very big thing. Because if Jiva is the creation, then the creation can never become the creator. The creation will always be separate from the creator. And if Jiva is not the creation, then the Jiva is already one with that which is the creator. The creation comes and goes. So therefore, that which is invested, listen carefully, that which is invested with the status of being Jiva is the same as that which is invested with the status of being Ishvara. Both are mithya. Yes. Like the clay, correct? Or you forget clay, there's a better example. Like the wave and the ocean. The ocean is, in relation to the wave, is infinite, huge, without boundaries. You cannot even see to the other side. And with limitless. And the wave is seen as you can see the wave as a creation of the ocean. You see, this is a point of view. The wave can be seen as a creation of the ocean. And the wave said, I have arisen out of the ocean. I am sustained by the ocean. And I go back to the ocean. It won't be entirely wrong. But we say that that's not the ultimate truth. It's a bhavana. It's something, it's a devotional feeling. It's a point of view. And the ocean is infinite. The wave is finite. There are many waves. There is one ocean. Each wave has a horoscope. It has a beginning. It has an ending. In the beginning it was small. Then it became a breaker. Then it became a tsunami. And now it is just waiting on the shore of death, waiting to die. This is the horoscope of the individual wave. What kind of a wave? A wave that suffers, has a wave of self-ignorance. The wave that suffers from self-ignorance, this is the problem. This is what it is the issue. But then, if the wave has a human mind and it suffers from this kind of ignorance about its nature, it has to be taught, what are you made up of? What will it say? Water. And if you ask the ocean on the other side of the equation, what are you made up of? It will also say water. So the truth of the ocean is water, truth of the wave is water. So therefore we can say the equation wave is equal to ocean. Ocean is equal to wave. That is what it is saying here. Yeah. Because both are really Brahman. Jiva is Brahman, Ishvara is Brahman. So all there is Brahman. So Brahman is nothing other than the Jiva. This is the non-separation that has to be understood. Because if we get caught up in the name and form of the wave, then the wave will have its own reality. And the wave will suffer from a sense of mortality. That I am not a survivor, that I am going to end. This is the problem. Whereas if the wave is told you are nothing but the ocean. Why? Because you are water. You are not wave at all. You are water in a particular form. with a name called wave. And the same water with a particular form and a particular name is called what? Ocean. So therefore wave is equal to ocean. Jiva is nothing but Brahman. And Brahman, there is no Brahman outside of Jiva. This is why it is talking about it like this. Moving further. It's the same thing expressed slightly differently. Jivo Brahmatmana Jneyah.
Jivo Brahmatmana Jneyah.
Jneyam Jivatmana Param.
Jneyam Jivatmana Param.
Muktistadaikya Vijnanat.
Muktistadaikya Vijnanat.
Iti Vedanta Dindimaha. Jivo Brahmatmana Jneyah.
Jivo Brahmatmana Jneyah.
Jneyam Jivatmana Param.
Jneyam Jivatmana Param.
Muktistadaikya Vijnanat.
Muktistadaikya Vijnanat.
Iti Vedanta Dindimaha. Yeah, very nice. So, then the question arises, if Jiva is Brahman, if the wave is nothing but the ocean, if Jiva is Brahman, then why this separation? Why this name and form called wave? Why this name and form called ocean? This is not fair, because the wave name and form is what? Finite, limited. And the ocean name and form is infinite, limitless. This is not fair. Therefore what? What is the cause of? That which bestows Jiva hood upon the Jiva, and that which bestows Ishvara hood upon Ishvara. What is that hoodie creature? Maya. Yes. Hooded creature. Avarna. Maya. Maya has this twofold Shakti. Yeah. She's like the seamstress. She stitches a grand robe full of all kinds of sequins and baubles and these diamond borders, gold borders. A grand robe she puts. Makes a very elaborate robe full of, Swarovski crystals. Galaxies are hanging at the end of this robe. Actually spinning galaxies she has stitched into the ends of this robe. And she puts it upon Brahman. And that Brahman is known now as Ishvara. The one that is in the form of spinning galaxies, the one that controls the planets. And quietly she just stitches this robe with magic thread. Yeah. What is the thread? You know? Ajnanam. Really. Invisible thread. Yeah. And she just stitches this grand robe with stars at the edge of the dress, galaxies adorning. The fabric is nothing but the universe, and drapes it on Brahman like a sari, like a dhoti, ardhanari. And then in front of that awesome grandeur, you have to just bow. You can't do anything else. Oh, Bhagavan, Ishvara, you have to bow. That same Brahman she catches hold of. She stitches some tattered clothing. Yeah. Made of thick. Thick, why? Because it cloaks. Yeah. Thick cloak. Made of shredded, tattered clothing. That also has some embellishment. Why only Ishvara's robe should have embellishment? The Jiva's robe also has some embellishments. What is the embellishment? I am no good. Sequence in the form of sequence of thoughts. I am no good, I am an idiot. Sorry for myself, I feel. I am a victim. Yeah, victim border. Means what? I'm a borderline victim. I'm an idiot. I'm no good. Nobody loves me. I'm separate from everything else. These are the baubles on the tattered robes of the jiva who feels sorry for itself. I can't see anything other than myself. And the same Brahman she catches hold of and says, come here, and puts this robe. And the Brahman is known as what? Jiva. Jiva. The other one, Ishvara. This one nobody likes. Nobody likes being a jiva. Nobody likes feeling sorry for oneself. Nobody likes, So what does the jiva want to be? Ishvara. Yeah, because I like that robe. Why am I wearing this robe? Who asked you to wear this robe? This robe. This robe, this is avarna. And removal of avarna is saying, I am not going to wear this robe. That is avarna. That is taking away the avarna. Very clever seamstress this Maya is. She stitches tatters of poverty, scarcity, fear and pain, which becomes the robes of the jiva. And she stitches the magnificence, grandeur, glory, the ruler of the universe onto the robes of the same Brahman, which is then known as Ishvara. Are there really two things? If there are, if you say yes, please leave the room. How can there be two things? It's the same Brahman. Halloween is coming, right? We should understand this now. Yeah, two people go trick or treating. Actually, it's the same child come in two dresses. Yeah, there's not really two people. Same child comes with Ishvara dress and then with Jiva dress. This happens so many times. We don't have Halloween, but we have all these times where people dress up in various, various ways of. They dress up as gods and goddesses in India. We have all these fancy dress things. And we have Rama Leela, where Rama's story is there. So Rama is dressed up like this, or like this rather, carrying the bow, magnificent crown, all diadems, huge robes, full of glitter. And all the villagers, even though they know that the village blacksmith is playing the role, for the sake of the role, they will go and fall at his feet after the thing, or during the intermission. But the next day, they will not fall at his feet. They'll say, hey, where is my job? What did you do? Because he's not wearing the dress anymore. That is what the whole thing is. This is the magic of the universe. And we have to penetrate and understand this magic. And the magic is being able to cast off this robe. How? Cognitively. It's not that the jiva has to really, give up the robe, which is the body, mind, sense complex. Like even the pot, to be enlightened, doesn't have to give up being a pot. While being a pot, even as it is a pot, it can say, aham, clay. Yeah. Clay tvamasi. That is the pot Vedanta. You are nothing but clay. The size of you is clay, what's the shape of you is clay. Everything is nothing but clay. Weight of you is clay, the smell of you is clay, you are clay. Plus name and form. That is the trappings, that is the dress. The name and form is the dress. The dress can be magnificent or the dress can be impoverished. But this avarna has to go. The second Shakti of Maya is called Vikshepa, the power to project. This is the seamstress. The seamstress has both the Shaktis there. That's why I like this particular metaphor of Maya being the seamstress. And so the Maya is stitching, and I told you, invisible thread that somehow holds everything together and makes everything appear, the unreal appears real because of Maya. And that's why I'm glad we are studying the Shvetashvatara Upanishad, because Maya comes in very big there. And so the unreal, that which makes it real, is a twofold Shakti. One is the Avarna, cloaking the truth of myself from me. That is the cloak. It's a Jiva hoodie, the hood which cloaks the truth of myself from me. And then what? The other one is called Vikshepa, projecting the many, one into many. That is Vikshepa. The Avarna can be removed. Vikshepa need not be removed. If Avarna is removed, if I know that the so-called many is one, I don't have to remove each and every... If I know that pot is clay, I don't have to go smashing all the pots. I can enjoy the name and form while knowing that it is already one, correct? So too with one's own body, mind, sense complex, I can enjoy being what I am. That's why Vedanta will not remove the problems from your life. What will it do? It will help you enjoy your problems with more objectivity. You can enjoy being a woman, you can enjoy being in the body of a man, you can enjoy being, in an old body. That if it gets up from bed, it claps because it's a major feat. You can enjoy being in a young body. You can enjoy being in a sick body because, that's just the body. Mind is free. Even though if the mind is compromised, still the person is free. Because the person is now beyond the mind. The body, mind, sense complex is the trapping, the so-called trapping. And so if I know I am one with everything, then I can enjoy the name and form without letting it be some kind of a burden on myself. This is really what it is. So I don't have to, on the collective level, I don't have to smash each and every pot in order to know that it is clay. I know, once I know it is clay, I can enjoy big pot, small pot, crack pot. I can enjoy all of them. Right? This is Vikshepa. Now come to the inner psyche. This is very interesting, the contrast. The individual psyche, there also is Avarna and Vikshepa, both are there. What is Avarna? That which is hidden from me. What is hidden from me in the individual? Huh? Huh? That I am Ishvara is hidden from me. No, that's on the collective level because it's hidden in every person. In the individual, what is hidden from me? What do I not know? Unconscious. That is hidden from me. What is evident to me? Vikshepa. My own projections, my own subjectivity, my own coming to wrong conclusions. When? Repeatedly, based on the unconscious, which I don't know. Because of the unconscious, I project. Correct? So on the collective level, I have to resolve the avarna, that which is hidden from me, which is the truth of my own nature. Because every jiva has to do that. But within each jiva, what do I have to resolve? Do I have to resolve the unconscious or the projections? Projections. Definitely. Because the unconscious is Ishvara's creation. So that I can cope, I have to withdraw the projections. I have say over the projections. That is where my Shakti lies. I subdue the subjective projections. Because everything really is. There's so much subjectivity. How to do that? By bringing more and more Ishvara into my life. That should be everybody's waking up prayer. Let there be less of me and more of Ishvara in my life. That's what it means. Like Jiva abides in Brahman, Brahman abides as the Jiva, in the Jiva. Let Ishvara abide in me. Let there be more of Ishvara, less of me. Less of me means less ragadvesha. Less of me means less projections. Less of me means less subjectivity. Less of me means less problems, really. Let me be Ishvara-esque, Ishvara-like. Very beautiful. And so, what is that? Then, this is the whole thing. It is so interesting because on the collective level, for the jiva to be enlightened, two things have to happen. One is one has to drop the self-ignorance, which means what? Drop the avarna, drop the truth, drop that which hides the truth from me as I am Ishvara, I am the whole. But for that to happen, I have to do some individual level preparatory homework, which is withdraw the projections, because I can't do anything about that which is hidden from me. So the unconscious also is there, but it is like the little jiva, like the little fellow sitting under Dakshinamurti's foot, harmless. The offensive and defensive mechanisms are disarmed by having the foot of awareness placed upon it. So the unconscious is there, but then it will come out less and less in the form of projections. I have the power to withdraw the projections, and the more I withdraw the projections by letting Ishvara abide in me as me, the greater is my preparedness to see the truth of this knowledge that I abide as Brahman. Brahman abides as me. Yeah? Mm-hmm. What is the date for the next class?
November 3rd.
But I thought it was listed as mid-November.
Well, next first Saturday, Swamiji, is November 3rd.
Yeah. I don't know whether I'll be in town or not, but we'll send out an email. Tentatively, we'll schedule it for November 3rd for now. Okay? Pencil it, and then we'll confirm it very soon. If I'm in town, we'll have it on the Saturday, the 3rd of November. We'll continue with Vedanta drum beat, Vedanta Dindima. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Any questions there are? We have spoken a lot today.
Swamini, I'm confused between Brahma, Bhagavan and Ishvara.
All the same.
All the same?
Yeah, it's like water, ocean and sea. It's the same thing. Same thing. There is no Brahman without being Ishvara, because we live in a manifest world. Yeah. So whenever we talk about Brahman, it's that which is the ruler of this whole universe, the as though ruler, so to speak. And then, the Jiva is also that Brahman. And when we say Jiva is Brahman, when we say Jiva is Ishvara, that is that Brahman, the truth of that Ishvara is what? Brahman alone. Yeah. So the equation has to be between Jiva and Ishvara. And Ishvara is that which is limitless, which is a conscious entity, which is limitless, which has the power to create, sustain and take back this entire universe. That is that limitless conscious entity that you are. Because when one loses the Jiva hood, all there is Ishvara. So that Ishvara is, when we say Brahman, we mean Ishvara really. Because Brahman is that truth of both the Ishvara and the Jiva. Yes. Like water is the truth of wave and ocean. Water is equal to Brahman, wave is equal to Jiva, ocean is equal to Ishvara. Got it?
Water is equal to Brahman.
Yes.
Wave is equal to Jiva.
Yes. Ocean is Ishvara. But they are all one and the same. Yeah. It's just name and form difference.
And
Good
Bhagavan?
question. Bhagavan, same thing. The one who has sixfold limitless virtues.
Talking about human form, that part in the Bhagavad Gita where it talks about when the mouth opens and everything is
Ah,
there.
yeah.
Is that a description of Ishvara?
Yes, it's a description of Ishvara.
Not because Brahman, you wouldn't
Brahman doesn't have form.
form.
Yeah.
Okay.
Brahman is nameless, formless, actionless, the truth of you that's indicated but not really described. And the indicatory words, like the it letters of Panini, are what? The indicatory words are Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. They indicate the truth, and since the truth of you is already self-revealing, self-effulgent, you don't need any other thing other than the indication, because it's already there. What it is you don't know, so what it is, its nature is indicated, correct? That is what is Brahman. So Brahman doesn't have form, doesn't have color, doesn't do anything. It just is. And it is sentient, or the word sentience indicates Brahman, the word limitless indicates Brahman. Yeah, so that is Brahman. Other questions?
So, if there are names and forms that we're not mature enough to be around, then it's best to just simply avoid.
If there are manifestations that are difficult for you to be around, sometimes it's an option to have temporary healthy boundaries. And that could mean anything from avoiding exposure completely, like a radioactive nuclear site, you don't go and visit that. Or a landfill, you let it be, correct? But more often than not, life is not so clear-cut. Because that you want to avoid, sometimes one is married to. What do, you know? Kya kare?
Go ahead. Thank you.
So therefore, you have to find ways of A, limiting the exposure, B, growing in the process of having a certain cloak of immunity. You have to do that as well. Because how can you be around the person who is the significant other, or the brother, or the father, or the mother, or the teacher if you're allergic? You have to find ways of growing the immunity. You grow, and how do you grow immunity? Just like how you do allergy testing. First they will say, okay, you're allergic to wheat. And then they inject little homeopathic doses, little bit. And you have little rash, you scratch, you go back, you go to sleep, next appointment, little more, and then you develop immunity. So for certain things, you have to do that. And sometimes if it is very toxic, you let go. But sometimes if it's not possible to let go, or if it's not an option, or one is not ready to, so then one has to learn to grow as a result of that particular set of people, or that particular event, situation, person, etc. It's not easy, but that is life. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes. Bolo, tell.
Because it's like these little places where I see their little sticky points, and it's like, even encountering that in a spiritual setting, like where there are groups of students together, there can still be that friction or rub.
There is always the rub. Where there are people, whether they are students or not, rub will be there. I have to be the person. I have to grow into a person. When they rub, I don't get rubbed in the process. So I have to have an immunity. And that is where the self-growth lies. The heart has to stretch. You have to take the heart to a chiropractor, in the metaphoric sense, and let it be stretched out. All the kinks and cracks gotten out of it. The heart has to become commodious enough to hold galaxies. So one grows in patience. So the other students one is very thankful that there are other students. Because sometimes people ask me, why can't I just study just by myself? Why I have to deal with these other people? You can. There's nothing wrong. You can come and study or just take the online classes, just you and yourself, you can take it. But the opportunities for growth we are losing, because in the group situation you have to deal with the other person, you have to sit next to them, you have to see them looking at you, and they may look at you like this. You have to deal with that. You have to deal with that. And there, because it is affecting one, there is opportunity for growth. You see, wherever there is an affectation and a so-called affliction, that affliction is not outside, it is within. It's hooking into a little hook that is already there. So this is the bait. The mouth of the fish is eager to bite, and that fish you have to, take to the dentist and saw off all its teeth. Yeah. That fish is the biting ragadveshas. Ragadveshas bite, they get hooked into situations. So you beat the unhookable thing. Don't take the bait. So be peaceful in any situation, like even the cow in the meadow. Yeah, that is the growth. It takes time.
Notice, though.
It's to notice, it's to put whatever balm one needs to, because what is coming up is the unresolved past. Whether the immediate past, remote past, past life, doesn't matter, it's the past. So there were certain invalidating situations in everyone's past. Thank God it's not me alone. There is one happy thought. Thank God it's not me alone. In everybody's past there is this situation. And so I make repast out of the past. I grow. So I learn to accommodate people. Slowly. I grow into a person that nobody can bother. That is when one is a Swami. Yeah. You don't let people bother you. That is what it is. So everybody, that is the destination of everyone in the tradition, to grow into a Swami. First you grow in an inner Swami. You make a little orange frock for the heart. And then you can become an outer Swami afterwards. But it all starts in here. Yeah. So all that hurt and pained creatures, one has to embrace, one has to hug, and then overcome. Always remember, sometimes if it's difficult, one feels like reacting, just say, oh, I'm wearing an orange frock inside. Can't react. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayaah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet, Asato Ma Sadgamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.